Hi, and welcome to today's event where we have the pleasure to present Penneo. To help us through this today's presentation, we have Christian Senneved, CEO, and Kasper Christiansen, CFO. The topic for today, the 2021 annual report results, but that also includes the guidance, main market listing, and capital raises. So I think we have a very busy schedule. As always, do not hesitate to ask questions down in the box below you. You can ask questions. We have a very large presentation because it's a full year, so we will run the presentation and take the questions afterwards. But do not worry, I will pick up all the questions and we will get through them. And you're also very welcome to ask in Danish. I will try and translate it. But for now, I think I will let it over to you, Christian.
Thank you very much. And first of all, thank you for all of you that are participating in this event. We have been looking very much forward to present our annual report. We have done it earlier than originally anticipated. And we have a busy schedule. There's a lot of things that we have to walk through, but I'm excited to be here to walk you through together with you. If we take the agenda on the next slide, then just so you know, I will make a short introduction to Penneo, and then we will walk through the results and the numbers for 2021, then the outlook for 2022. Then we will touch base on the capital raise that we announced earlier last year, and then on our plan for the main market listing. So we hope with this that we walk through all the very interesting things on where we are today and where we are heading. If we take the next with the introduction to Penneo, and then this one, very shortly, business software as a service. We now have more than 2,400 customers, and we have a focus on digital signing document workflows with our Penneo Sign, and on our Know Your Customer product with our Penneo KYC under the anti-money laundering regulation. We have customers in Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and Finland, Belgium, and Germany. So we are strong in the Nordics, and we are expanding into the other countries. And the aim for us is to become the de facto platform for auditors and accounting across Europe. We are approximately 90 employees and plus 20 nationalities. If you take the next one, here is just an overview on our strategic direction. In other presentations, we have been through it in more details, but overall, we have our tier system with the key focus on our auditing accounting. That's really our beachhead and the way we go to market. So the primary auditing accounting, but also next in line is AML governed industries. So those industries that have always both our Sign and KYC on top of the auditing and accounting. So that's, for example, the finance sector. And then we have a tier 3, that's basically the rest. We see a network effect to other industries. So when auditing and accounting are sending out their annual report for signature, as an example, to senior executive, their end customers, they now experience our solution, and then they afterwards say, oh, that solution could also be very useful and beneficial for us. And then they basically come to us and say, we would like to look into this. And that goes both for our Penneo Sign product and also our KYC. That network effect that I just discussed. Then if you take the next one, that's when we look at a total addressable market, we can see here these numbers are global numbers. They represent on the left side is the digital market, and on the right side is the KYC market. Both are showing high growth over the next coming years. And even though it's a global numbers, we see the same and experience the same level in Europe. And we also experience that every day, that this market is growing, and there's an increased interest as we see also increase the digitalization, and also from a signature point of view, and from the KYC increased compliance requirement, and especially also the combination, which we really can see that that gives an extra, it's really an extra value add that it comes together. If you take the next one, and then just to state from our growth and the way we grow and also accelerate the growth, we have existing markets, and part of the growth come from that we are growing in the existing markets. And then in addition, we have the geographical expansion into new markets in Europe. And that is basically completely unchanged. So everything I've said so far, including this, is as it was also half a year ago and a year ago. And that is supported by our three primary investment streams. So we have an investment stream of upselling our Penneo KYC product to auditors as one of them. We have our investment stream of penetrating the AML governed industries with our Penneo KYC and sign, for example, the finance sector, and then to fuel our expansion through the audit and accounting vertical to become de facto standard for auditors in Europe. And all three of them we are investing in. And I will come back to later on from a capital raise point of view, what are then our plans with our new announcements. And the end result of that is basically, yeah, these are the value streams. It's more a matter of how fast we do it and how heavy we do it. If we then take the next one, and that is now coming to the 2021 result. And the first, if you take the next one, the first we go into here is some key achievements. Here we have an annual report 2021, and here beginning of 2022. I always think it's a good thing to look back a year and see what have happened. And we internally, really, when we compare to where we were in 2021 at the beginning and compare to where we are today, we believe we have achieved a lot. We have welcomed more than 500 customers. We have made some strategic customer wins. Some of them we have announced, like the KPMG Norway, that we sold our KYC product to. And as part of that, but also with showing our investments in the whole internationalization of that product, also making it enterprise ready. Another example is the win with bank data that cover 8 banks in Denmark and more or less 20% of the market. They bought our Penneo sign product. Also a strategic win from the investment stream of going into the AML regulated market. And we have also other that not has been announced as such as an official announcement, but strategically they are important for us. And an example, some of the Belgium customers that we have won. And not only we have won them, they have implemented, and they have also been so kind to make some customer testimonials. So if you follow us on LinkedIn, you might have seen some of them. And we can really see that now when you're going into a new market and customers are starting to benefit from our solution and want to talk about it, then others of their peers in the market, then they say, okay, they can use it. They have benefit from it. Maybe we could have the same because we have the same challenges and problems, and we would like to have it also solved. So we are very thankful to Akko and the others that have stand up for us. Also important for us. We have generally seen growth in all our market and across both our products. As part of it, we have refined our expansion strategy, and so in more details. So the slide I just showed before with the growth in existing market, new market, and the 3 investment streams, that's how we have refined. We have also created an aligned value creation plan, and a value creation plan is a plan on how to execute our strategy. And we have spent time on defining our must-win battles and core enablers to really execute our strategy. And now we have a plan that is completely aligned across the organization, so we all pull in the same direction as part of the scale up. We have also achieved to get KYC integrated into the business. You might remember that the KYC product, we bought the asset as part of buying CLA reply in last year, in 2020, autumn 2020, and then we have spent the year to integrate it into our business. And finally, we have been through an organizational transition too, in the sense we have got the new board members, a new chairman. I came on board. We have also some key positions that we have filled out. So we really have the organization for scale up and in the phase that we are right now. So a lot of great achievements, and these are just examples. Then on the next one, then we hand it over to you, Kasper, and that's for the numbers.
Now it's exciting.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you for the words. Michael, will you change the slide? Yeah, I think some of you might have noticed that this is a slide going on quarter after quarter in Penneo. First of all, I want to explain what it is. This is all our cohorts. By cohort, I mean a group of customers, and here we group the customers by the year they became customers. So for instance, the dark blue color in the bottom is the customers coming in 2014. And it's the annual recurring revenue we are showing. So the number 2 in the bottom here is 2 million Danish crown coming from that bulk of customers. What we can see and what is pretty unique for us, and we are proud about it, is that every cohort is growing year over year over year. Meaning that when we see customer leaving us, yeah, some customers is leaving us, have left us, and the other customers maintaining, still being customers is uplift more than the customers churning. So that's the idea with this, giving an idea. The investment getting customers in, for instance, 2014, what is the value today? Was it this worth to spend cost getting the customers in? And we are proud to see that we are growing the ARR coming in from the cohorts. Next slide. Yeah, this is a view back on the last year, 12-month period, going from 37 million to 55 million, meaning that we have a growth rate on 50%. It's a bit more than the period from 19 to 2020. So we're proud that we are still see an increase in the growth rate. The slide here is divided in 2 parts, the current customers base on the left side and the new customers in the right side. What is new in this slide is that we now show the new biz and the uplift on the new Know Your Clients product. And just to make it clear, we haven't had any sales in 2020 on Know Your Clients. So this is the total value of our Know Your Clients. I got that question from time to time. How much was your ARR on the Know Your Clients at the end of 2020? We just start selling the Know Your Clients tool in 2021. The churn last year was 4%, so it's 2% this year. As long as it's under 5, we think it's a pretty low number, and we are so satisfied. And you know, it's not you cannot take it for granted that you can present that kind of low numbers. So big respect about it. Trying to every day think about how can we keep our customers happy? How can we develop our platform? How can we communicate with our customers to maintain that low churn? But as I said, you cannot take it for granted. On the uplift side, we see that we have uplift on 26%. It's a bit more than last year. And on the new biz, it's 26%. It's a bit less counted in percent compared to last year. But in terms of Danish crown, it's more than last year. I think that's it in change. Yeah, and this time we have chosen to include our ARR divided between what is coming from Denmark, meaning domestic market, and what is coming from outside of Denmark, meaning foreign markets. And what we are satisfied about is that the percentage coming from outside of Denmark is growing. That's a part of our go-to-market strategy or European expansion strategy that we set out during the IPO. So we now start see that we get good traction on the market outside of Denmark, and that's pretty good for us to see. And also that we are approximately double our ARR coming from new markets. Yeah. Here's our SaaS numbers. In Q4, you can see that we got 123 new customers in on an average of almost 22,000 Danish crown as the start value. On the later slide, you can see how much we expect the customers to grow the first 5 years. What we have seen is that our customer acquisition cost is 32,000, and as long as we can see we're getting bigger clients in, it's okay for us to have this kind of customer acquisition cost. But of course, you need to see that the follows. So what we said in the IPO was that we are aiming for bigger clients, more enterprise clients, and we are willing to see the CAC increase. So that's a result of a heavy investment. Also, when you go into new market, you might expect that the first customers you're getting on the platform in a new market is pretty expensive, since you use a lot of resources to get in there and have a lot of dialogues with customers. Our net ARR retention rate is related to the previous slide, meaning the uplift on the current customer base, it's 124%. And we are pretty proud about it. So we are growing our current customer base. And if you combine the current customers with the new customers, who's bigger than the previous quarter, then we also see once more we are growing our ARR on average per when you take the entire portfolio. Next slide, Michael. Yeah, and this chart is to show how our cohort is growing the first year. So if you take all our cohorts since we started out in 14 and count how much are they growing, all of them the first 5 years, then you get an average. It's 16.5%. The reason why we give you this number is then we want you to calculate how many times are we getting the CAC back, instead of us saying that with a churn on 2%, our customers living in 50 years. I think you need to come up with the lifetime you want to in your calculation. So that's the reason why we give you this growth rate on average. So you can do the calculation here. Next slide. Yeah, this is our P&L. As you can see, the top line is growing with more than 50%, and last year it was 19%. The direct costs have a lower growth rate than the top line, while our gross profit margin is also better this year in 2020 instead of compared to 2020. As we say to our investors on the investor meeting, do not expect us to just keep that improvement going on. So do not expect that we can deliver the software for free in the future. It's without any cost. Expect us to be on this level. When it comes to other external expenses and staff costs, you can see that we from 19 to 2020 invest heavily, meaning the growth rate was 87 or 70%, and in this year it's below that. So now you see the effect of that. We are ramping pretty hard, pretty much up in the year between 19 and 2020, and now we see that we are gaining revenue from that investment. Yeah, next slide, Michael. And this is a new chart, so I think I will try to slow a bit down here to explain it. I think it's pretty hard to understand if it's your first time seeing it. This chart shows our free cash flow, and in Penneo we invest more than we are earning from revenue. Why we have a negative free cash flow? That's a main reason for raising money on the IPO in 2020. In 2020, we used 22.2 million, and we gain 12 million on AR, and we invest 9 million into product development. But the relation between AR growth and the negative cash flow is 1.8, meaning that every time we grow 1 crown in AR, we have paid 1.8 crown. So that's the price of the growth. And what we can see in 2021 is that we have lowered our pressure on the investment, meaning that we now see the results from 2020 investment and have a lower growth rate on the cost base. So we have a negative cash flow on 23.6 million, but we gain 18.5 million on AR. So that's a relation between those numbers, meaning that every time we grow 1 crowns in AR, it costs us 1.3 crowns. Yeah, and you're welcome to ask questions. I know this is a new chart that I have included in our slide deck. Yeah, outlook for 2022, the words to you.
Yes, thank you. So if you take the next slide, then we are here to present the outlook. If you just look back when we went IPO'd, we had a guidance and we realized that and a bit more. And last year when we stood at the same time of the year, we had a guidance of 52 to 57 for 2021, and we achieved 55.5. And then with the 50%. Now we look going forward, and here we have now guided 77 to 82, that if you compare that up against the 55, that represent a growth of 40 to 49. So a little bit lower than the 50, but if you calculate the numbers, it is a growth in actual numbers. What is very important to be said about this, the foundation for this guidance, that is based on what we have of cash now. We have not yet raised capital, additional capital. So this is based on what we have with what we have got from the IPO plus some additional cash that we got earlier last year. And so that's the 40 to 49. And when just every time we do guidance, it's always based on where we are and what we have of cash. And we will always plan, never run out of cash. If we then take the next one, and for the EBITDA, that's the other part that we are doing guidance on. We have, last year we said we will be between minus 15 and minus 20. When we did the final calculation here or what we ended up, it was just below with the minus 14. Then going into 2022, yeah, then it is lower as we are now burning, or we have more revenues. Not that we necessarily burn less cash, but we have more and more revenue to take it from, as your chart earlier, your new slide also showed this trend. And here we are guiding minus 5 to minus 10. So that's for the guidance. Then if we take the next one, that's the capital raise. And we announced back in June, we announced that we would plan to raise additional 100 million. And now with where we are looking at the capital market right now, we have decided to reduce that amount to approximately 20 to 40 million kroner, which represent 5 to 10% of the market cap as we have right now. And so we still plan to raise money, but in a smaller one. And that's simply when we look into the market, how it is right now, we have decided to take less. Then it will have, you can say, from a timeline point of view, the 100 million, the idea with the 100 million was to have a long-term plan 3 years ahead. With a smaller one, then it goes into the growth. The 2022 numbers you have seen already with the 40 to 49, and a capital raise will not change that very much, but it's more to have the foundation also for 2023 to have the high growth rates, but with a little shorter timeline than you originally anticipated. And for us, when we have taken that decision, is we believe as the market is right now, what is very good is as we did last year. We tell what we do with the growth rate, and then we achieve it. Now we'll do it one more time here. Create the foundation, but at the same time now, tell with the guidance we have, this is what we're going to do, and then deliver on it, and then build up year by year the trust. We believe that that's the best on the current market situation. And we have said we expect it to be within the next 6 months. So that was for the capital raise. And then in parallel, as we also originally announced, we are planning to go on the main market. Those two processes has from the very beginning been two independent, as we also said in our announcement. And if you take the next slide, then you will see the plan. So when you decide as a First North company to go and be listed on the main market, that start a whole process. And they simply, you can also look it up, and with a lot of filings. That is a standard plan that you have with the financial authorities. So when we decided on it, there was a lot of preparation work, and then there are these as a standard up to 5 filings, and then you get a final approval, and then you can have a first trading day. We have been filing the first one and the second, and it says here filing on the 24th tomorrow, but we did that on Monday, so those are check marks. And in our dialogue with the financial authorities, we are fully on plan. So we expect to get the final approval either basically latest on the 1st of April, but also before. So we will go and have the first trading day here beginning of April. So that plan will, independent of the capital raise, going to be executed, and we are working according to the plan, as you can hear. So that is basically conclude our walkthrough of it. I can see on the questions that we have got a lot of very good questions. So now it's time to go through them. So if you can start, Michael.
Yeah, I will start with the first one. It's actually a very good question. Do your potential customer have an existing solution, a digital signature of a lesser quality or whatever, or is it representing a new way to do the business? So do you need to go in and change a little bit on how they do business? So are you pushing someone out, or are you presenting them with a new way to do it?
I think basically it's both. The majority of them do not have a solution in place, or they do not have a solution that's fully incorporated the way we do it. So basically, it's if they have something, yeah, then you can say if you take an ordinary account, yeah, then it's integrated in the whole way that they are working, and including also with the system that they have. So in that sense, we have really the focus on getting it integrated into their business. They might have bought, or it might in one department are using it something else, and we also see that. But for the core that we are providing, the majority, most often they do not have anything today.
And then a little bit, it's a low number of churns, but do you have any? Do the customers give you any reason? Are you collecting information, data on why some are leaving you?
Yes, we do, and it is a low number, but still there are some that are leaving. And what we normally see is now you saw the tier model. We have ordinary accounting that's where we have our focus, and it's integrated into that solution. And we have the AML, and then last but not least, we have the tier 3. So those that can see a benefit. And for some of them that come in, they are small customers, and then often they can have an option, or they bought it, but then they found, okay, there's also another option. So they do churn, or maybe they never got it implemented and say, okay, we didn't see the benefit. But that's mainly for the tier 3. In reality, when we have integrated into the business of our ordinary accounting, and also more in the AML, then they stay, as you can see on the numbers.
And then regarding the uplift or the upsell to existing customers, is it due to you increasing pricing, or is it product mix, or both at the same time? And here I'm talking about your old Penneo solution. Of course, the KYC is on top of that when you start selling that. So whether you can give some granular to that, how much is price, how much is more products, more signings?
I can see you are so eager to
I'll take that. For Penneo, we have this philosophy: when we increase prices in a customer relation, we need to deliver more value. And I also think that's one of the key reasons why we have this low churn. So we do not have any kind of we're uplifting your price because we can. It's like, would you buy more from us in terms of users, engagement, clients you want to onboard, and so on? The different price models. It's all based on you're getting more from us, you're getting more value, and then we increase our subscription. So it's not just us raising the price for the product to our current customers.
So it's just to understand it, it's mainly because your customers will use your system more and they get upgraded to other pricing models and such stuff regarding their usage.
Of course, some of our first customers way back in 14 and so on have too low prices, but yeah, that's how it is if you support a company during a startup phase. But we have this philosophy: we need to bring more engagement and more value if we want to increase the subscription. Otherwise, we will see a high churn.
So to answer it, all uplifts are based on more usage of our product.
Perfect. And then there's a question regarding to Belgium and Germany, at least one of them very large countries. How are those progressing? Are you still in kind of testing phase, as I've heard you were saying, finding your way into the German market? And also a question: do you have already now thinking about the next market?
Yeah, and to as fully correct, Michael. So from a Germany point of view, we are still, investigating. We have customer there, but it's still on the investing. So we are not full speed ahead, but we are taking the next step to look into it and evaluate. Okay, are we now getting close to that? Because that is part of our strategy to take a market. If we take Belgium, there we can see much more traction, and that's coming back to also to when I saw some of the key achievements. Yes, we have got some good solid customer there, and the first ones are always the most difficult ones. But when we have these that can help up and be our ambassadors, now we can really see that takes off in the sense that more and more come. But we are not on the same level at all, like of course not Denmark, but not Norway and Sweden are much larger. So we are in earlier stage. From a strategic point of view, it is when we enter a country, then we really would like to secure we really conquer it. So it's not spreading it so thin. So we take a little bit of Belgium, a little bit of France, a little bit of Germany. No, entering a country and then do it right.
And the last one, something next, or are you actually satisfied with the possibilities you have in those early stages in those markets? You don't need to mention the countries, but if you don't want to, but is there maybe a next market where you would start launching a soft launch or whatever we can call it on?
Yeah, so official is in the sense. So what we are doing is we are really investigating. So there is a group of people that are really looking at, are the market about to be ready? And there are several factors for that. The majority of using the electronic ID, and now it also become more and more on the KYC. Is that also more hot? And also the combination that goes. Mature also they also accept to use these kind of products, and then out of that we say, okay, yeah, now it's ready to do the investments. At the same time, we also need to be there when it comes. So that's what we are constantly evaluating.
And then there's a little bit a question on the competition side. We of course can take the big signing market, but here it's very specific. Inside the auditors, are you seeing anybody going after your niche, or niche is maybe a hard word for such a big group, but are you seeing any increasing competition going in here, and how are they trying to copy you or trying to make all the same APIs, the possibilities for accountants to go somewhere else? So I don't know whether you can speak a little bit about the competitive situation exactly in your main market, the auditors or accountants.
It's a very good question. Yes, we see that we are getting better all the time. Our competition is also, and sure they also try, but they don't have it as a focus, and you really benefit. So as a company like Penneo, if you are focusing on a vertical and you really learn them very, very well and have constant dialogue, then you also then you are better off and you have a better standpoint, including also with the integration, understanding their workflows, understanding the pain. And now with our KYC that they all are needing, and now we add another value proposition to them. So now we become even more relevant. So we know their business, and with the KYC, we now solve another pain for them, and that even make us stronger. Of course, our competition, they then do it in other verticals, and they will do that. But for us and our vertical, we really see it works with having this focus strategy.
And then a little bit of the questions. I know you will not guide on it, but growth prospects for your KYC product in 22. You still have a very large existing base to sell it on. If I do the numbers, maybe if you don't want to give exact guidance, then whether you can give us some idea on how much of your current customer base you think this KYC product will be. Will make sense for them. Are they big enough to integrate that into their system?
Yes, and in that sense, it's clearly we are so happy we got additional revenue stream to we can upsell, and we do expect that the KYC has growth also next year, and there is a need for it. And including the combination. So the expectation without guidance is we will grow sign and we will grow KYC, both of them, and they are both very important.
And not giving an exact number, but is it a large part of your current customer base that this product actually gives meaning for? Is your current base are around 50 million if I exclude the KYC in large numbers. Are they all relevant for KYC? You might not get them, but everybody should have it, and it makes sense for them also to have it integrated in your system.
Very good question. And in that sense, from the KYC point of view, if we now take the tier 1 and the tier 2, there the KYC is relevant. For the tier 3, it's not. And therefore, our majority of our business, our KYC product is relevant, as the tier 1 and tier 2 is the majority of our business.
Then, what price do you expect per 1 krona ARR in 22? I think it's for you, Kasper, and a good way to try and give you the guidance for.
I think you asked me before this event, Michael. I think it's the same answer that we are not guiding on our cash flows. I cannot tell you what the numbers is, but you can see if our guidance without further money raised, and then you can do your math yourself, simply seeing what is on account end of 2021, what are we expecting in terms of EBITDA, and you can look up how much is share-based payment under staff cost, and then you can do a kind of calculation on your expected cash flow.
And just to remind you, your cash position at the accounting, is that around 25 million?
As I remember.
Yeah. And now a little bit more about the competition. I don't know whether you answered it, but can you name your biggest competitor in the Nordic market? I guess you're meeting more when you go European, but what is your biggest competitor if you look specifically into the Nordic market where you have a high presence?
In general, for example, in Sweden, it is Scribe. They are strong. We also see some of the other ones. On the KYC, it's a little bit more broad because there's no large name yet. So there we are new to it. Our KYC product have been for 4 years. Similar with also some of them. They're simply smaller and not as heavy.
And then there's a little bit of course, scale back the capital increase. Are you able to moderate CapEx and OpEx growth in some point and still grow ARR and gain new clients? I think you kind of answered it saying you can do your old plans without it, but maybe also to get a little bit more into this question, how fast, how good a visibility do you have for the scaling during the year? So you seem confident that if you don't raise money for some reason, you will go cash flow positive. So is that really the visibility you have in your business model, that you can start very early to go that?
On the current cash situation, we have a large hiring plan, and if we see any change on the top line, we can change in our hiring plan. And it's also important for me to see that in Penneo we have an organization who is ready for take over Europe. So of course, if we decided to downscale, we could do it, but why should we?
And then there's a little bit to the guidance of the EBITDA. You will have a less negative result for in 22. The reason for that guidance, decomposing it, less spend compared also with you have a higher gross profit, and is it, as I understand, the earlier guide 22 guidance was in this 22 guidance is in the low range of the 40 to 6% you presented with Q3. And is that the lower revenue guidance, as I understand it, is that actually one of the reasons why you also guide for lower, a better EBITDA, less negative?
Yeah, and what we did in our announcement was we came out with some growth aspirations based on the capital raise of 100 million. So, and we said it's not a guidance, and that was because we got asked. So, how do you see? And then we came up with some growth aspirations. The actual guidance what we give is always based on the capital that we have.
So it is a little bit combination that you have. If I should understand it, you have the old guidance was when you had the money from the capital raise, and you have put a little bit. Left the foot from a little bit from the accelerator. So that is the main reason why you guide lower on the EBITDA. Is that that's my conclusion, but I'm asking you whether it's a little bit right. You left the foot of the accelerator.
No, but I think can I put it a little bit different? So what we have done is originally at the IPO we said now we front load some investments, and then we do the S curve. So we front load it, and then we see the result because it makes sense. And now we are showing that we are at the end. So at the end here of 2022, we will become cash positive. And then we can, of course, decide that from now on we only would like to be profitable. We can do that. That's the S curve. What we are saying now is, okay, now we do additional capital raise. As you know, we had a loan of 10 million that we took in December, and then now within the range we have, let's say just 40 million. Yeah, then we are up with 50, and for that it's basically our new S curve. That will not have that much influence on the 2022 as now, because before we deployed and a lot of it is organic growth, but of course it has some impact later on. At the same time, the beauty of a SaaS business is, as long as we keep the churn so low, is that all the customers that we have with your cohort, we build that on top. So, for example, next year, then we are in the expected range of 77 to 82. So that's what we enter next year on. And with that, we will spend all the money. We will not use more cash than we have. We will definitely spend more if we don't do any capital raise. So I think that's the whole mindset of our SaaS, the SaaS business, which I really believe is beautiful. But that also means in our daily life, focus on happy customer, focus of course on uplift that we do, and on new biz, because the new biz created for the next time.
Perfect. And then there's a little bit questions around the competitive situation. It's always important to understand that. What is your competitive advantage compared to DocuSign? I know it's a little bit general question, but maybe we should target it into the groups. And does similar platform exist besides DocuSign, which we all read about, a lot of us investors in your EU markets, the target markets out there?
And it's absolutely a relevant question, especially with DocuSign. When you compare, okay, now you have the signing tool with DocuSign, and then you have ours. And yes, seen from outside, from a very simple use case, it is true that it could look very similar. But as soon as you go then into the details on how we have built the workflows and integration into the auto accounting and so on, yeah, then there's a lot of value add. And then suddenly it's not exactly the same system. So when we are selling to auto accounting, for example, sending out annual report and so on, we are not up against DocuSign, simply. But if you want it and you go to us, and that also happens that a business say, okay, I want to just a very simple one, sending out one document to get, and I don't need your special security and all your special benefits, just some kind of a signature. And then we are at par. Yes, and then they could, because they trust us, right? That's another thing. So the advanced solution we have from the sign, and then especially now with the KYC on top, then you get a whole solution. Yeah, then we are not completely comparable, even though that some words is the same, and that's the sign.
And then I don't know whether you have given it out, but I think it's a question to Kasper. The distribution of your current ARR between tier 1, 2, and 3 clients.
No, we have not.
No,
we have not taken it out, but it's a good question, and we could really consider it also. Now, as you hopefully you have seen, we're giving more and more numbers out, yeah, that could be relevant to consider.
And then a little bit to the capital increase, and I know you can talk. You of course can't give us the formula, but have you given it any thoughts to whether it should be with rights, for the current shareholder, or it will be a private placement where you place big chunks in some kind of book building process, So will it be with us existing, the existing shareholders will have some rights? I'm not allowed to own you, so or will it be a private placement? Have you given any thoughts what would be maybe the best with the current market conditions?
Yeah, we are considering all the options. Yeah, and yeah.
International growth was very strong, still from a low base. Do you think you can be market leader in other countries? You have the Nordic. Is there other countries where you see market leader? And I guess market leader maybe within, should we say, the regulated business, the auditors, the advocates, the banking sector, because also I think maybe you will be up against some tough competition. So is there some markets where you think you can actually gain that position as you have gained in the Nordic?
Yeah, so at least if you take all the sectors, we will not be leaders in it. But if you take the tier 1, our aim is really to be considered really one of the leaders in it, and that's what we are working for. And yes, we can also consider them, because with that focus and investing in it and adding up, additionally now we are dreaming, in the sense of going forward in our vision, add more and more value proposition to them. Yeah, then we'll become more and more strong and seen as more and more as a leader. So that's our strategy. But we take it with the beachhead strategy, and we go into market, we win the first 10, then some of the lighthouse, the big ones, then the other ones will follow, and we can see that. And out of that also comes, if they are using it, then the same network effect to the others. So basically copying the model, but never go away from our core tier 1, because that has shown so strong, and we have so much knowledge around it, and we have a very great network among them.
And maybe also to get into that position, if we look at some of the new markets you're coming into, there are you the first mover there, because that's of course or is there already some solution maybe in Denmark and in the Nordic region? I guess you were that early on with your product, the technology was ready for it in these countries very early on. You're still talking about, so my question is, it's easier to become a de facto leader in a country when you don't need to push things out that is maybe not that good. So in those countries where you are now starting outside the Nordic, is there a lot of solutions, maybe more simple in the auditing business, or or are they simply also from the starting point where the Nordic was maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, where there was no really need for it, no structural framework for doing the digital?
So if you take our segment, for example, signing annual reports and all the formal annual general meetings and others, here it is we don't see that has matured that much. There are other countries where they're not that far. Of course, they started, for example, in Belgium, they do have it, and it's not that they don't have it at all, but they're not as mature as we are in the Nordic, and that's just a fact that we are so far. We get so used to it that when you can do it, you have. On the other hand, it is not like for when Penneo started. We are a little bit up because in general they have understanding that digitalization, they have been running for some years also in that sense. But ask the new Chancellor of Germany that have they realized and put it as one of the top 3 priorities, the digitalization, and also between the authorities and the business, they really need to do something about it. And for us in Denmark and in the Nordic countries, we are now used to it. So for us to say, yeah, that it is possible, and I'm sure they can do it faster than we might have done because we were first move also as a country. But
they have something to.
But they are not there. They are not there yet, and they know it. And we hope to be part of that growth.
And also to the international, I don't know whether you will give out that information, Kasper. You made this cohort analysis where you're seeing around old customers in total growing around 16% per year. Have you split out the international customers and Danish customer, and is there a big difference between those 16% in those 2 groups? I don't know whether you want to give it out, but it kind of is a very nice to start following your information here on the international side also. So is it the same? You come in and you really can also raise, maybe not as a mature in the Nordic region.
Of course, internally we are slicing and dicing all the way we can think of when it comes to our portfolio, but it's not a number that we have disclosed yet. Maybe in some years when the numbers and the historical view is actually more mature.
More mature, perfect. And then a last question, and then I will let you go. It's been a long session. How many FTE employees do you expect to have by the end of 2022? I know you're not giving guidance on that number, but do you have a ballpark?
Yeah,
the FTE number of employees.
Yeah, we are right now. We are hiring. We have around 20 that we are adding. So that's a ballpark. We have already hired some, and then they are throughout the year. So when you're saying full-time equivalent, I think that's where then every employee is then they calculated into what they are as a full-time over the year. And here it is, you say, how do we count it? A little bit think of when we get them and so on. But we are still continuing ramping up because we are on another level now than we were, for example, last year.
Perfect. I think we got through all the questions. So thank you very much. Thank you for the audience for a lot of good questions, and thank you for you, Kasper and Christian, to answer them all in a good way. So have a nice day to all.
Thank you so much, all of you.